Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be talking about something that's completely different to what we normally do, but I think it's something that's going to be really important to a lot of people out there looking to find their next vehicle, and especially if you're thinking about putting that vehicle into your business. Now, here at my business we had an opportunity to bring a vehicle in as a company vehicle, which normally from accountants is a massive no-no. Normally for accountants, and we'll talk about why, you'll find that the first thing we say when we talk about company vehicles is stay well clear. In some circumstances for some business, you'll find that putting a vehicle into your business is going to have significant savings for you. Not only in terms of tax, but also cash flow as well, because you as the business, or the individual should I say, won't have to withdraw money to fund that vehicle. So let's figure out how and why it works and give you a bit of a story of how it worked in my circumstances. For me, this is a video that is not to be missed. Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer, fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, and also head of accounts here at Boffix. Now in today's video, we're talking about how you potentially could save a lot of money and have the opportunity of bringing a vehicle into your business. Now before we go any further, let's have a little bit of an intro on to my circumstances, and then let's talk about when or where this can work. Let's go. All right, everyone, so this is a bit of a different part of a video we would normally do, but I thought it might be worthwhile actually talking about some of the disadvantages / advantages of having an electric car versus your normal car. So obviously for this whole piece that we're doing in this video to work, we need to be having an electric only car, which does make it a little bit different to your standard car. And what you have to be able to take into consideration is if this is actually going to work for you. So this is our new car that we've bought. This is what we're going to get all the tax benefits from. Again, we're going to go through the VAT savings, the fact that we're going to be able to put it through the company, the fact we're going to get some ongoing costs on there as well. So from a company point of view and a company tax point of view, there's some huge savings to have, which makes owning an electric car really attractive when you put it through a business. The big problem is going to be though is everything else that relates to owning an electric car. So first and foremost, obviously the big one is how you make sure that it has electricity to keep going, and we've already encountered this as not a problem, but something we're going to have to think about and understand as we go along. We picked this car up on 80% I think it was, 84%, something like that. We've driven 100 and something miles since then. We're now on 35% left, which means that ideally for a kind of range anxiety and making sure we don't run out of electricity, we should really go top it up. Now we do have included with this car, we did have an ability or a piece of equipment where we can just plug it into the wall at home, but that's going to take 30 hours from start to finish to get us to actually being fully charged. So those sort of things are probably okay if you're going to be leaving them for multiple times and you're not actually going to be utilizing the car for a while. That'll probably be okay. But if you need to be able to make sure you're charging up more regularly, say that you need it going up much quicker than that, then you're going to have to install a special adapter at your house, an EV charger, and they can be quite expensive. They range from like £400 all the way up to, we've been quoted £2,000 to have one installed in our house. But that will be something you can put against the business, so it's a business cost, it's going to help against corporation tax, you're able to get the VAT back, etc, etc, etc. So there are benefits and there are reasons why that's useful, but it is something to look out for. If you put a charger like that this car has been stated that it will take around about 7 hours or so from 0 to 100. Very rarely will it be at 0 anyway, so most of the time that should be a full night of charging. And you can be really clever and savvy about it. You can dictate when it charges, when it doesn't. So if you've got a tariff where you've got cheaper electricity, for example, you'd want to include that then, and you can bring that sort of thing. So there's a whole different mentality. It's not just, oh, I'm a little bit low on fuel, let's go to a fuel stop, let's go there. You're going to have to start thinking about it for different. And then there's people like, and then days like today where we're going out, we're going to take the puppy for a little wander, and we're going to make sure that she has a nice little time, and we might as well go to somewhere where we can drop the car, charge it up, we walk the dog, we come back, Mulberry's all happy, and then we've got a nice charged car. So we're kind of changing how we would normally do things, and that's something you're going to have to remember when it comes to electric car. The other advantage of an electric car, though, as you can see in front of me, is they're just built exactly, you know, designed for the most highest of tech possible. So this has got the ability to self-drive, it's got the ability to self-park, it's got the ability to do all sorts of things that you wouldn't need to, you wouldn't normally get on your standard car. And that's one of the advantages, or at least trying to give you an advantage of going to move it to a electric car. So electric cars themselves, again, you also have to take into account they are different to drive. You know, we've come from a diesel 1.6, I think it was, you know, quite a economical car. So it wasn't, we weren't going for the flashy like sports car or anything, but it was manual, and we had to kind of get used to driving from a manual to now completely automatic, because you don't have any other options in electric. So there's little bits like that. Honestly, the change isn't that bad. One of the changes that is a bit weird is the fact that you just get this instant torque as soon as you put your foot down, and you put your foot down and you just go. So you've got to be careful and adapting the way you're driving. So it's just a change in the way that you are. And I think really those are the two bits. It's the whole mentality of keeping electricity in the car so that you can go from A to B, and also the mentality of, you know, the way that it drives, the feel that it drives. You don't have that engine. To me, they're positives, but it is something that won't actually be perfect for everyone. So before you commit to going down this route of, yes, saving a lot of money, getting corporation tax benefits and all that sort of stuff we're going to talk about, you need to make sure that driving an electric car is right for you. Now, our advice on charging the car, getting the most out of it and all that lot, is YouTube. There's so many good content out there. Before we bought this car, we must have spent hours upon hours upon hours on YouTube itself, and I think for me that's going to be the best place to be able to get everything you need. Okay then everyone, so a little bit of an update on that one, just as a quick one. Our first charging experience. Yeah, it's something you've got to get used to. Again, it's all about this lifestyle change. We were able to do it, but it was a lot of faffing around to begin with, trying to follow instructions. And I had pre-done the app, and my intention was always to use the app, but then we tried not to use the app to begin with, and yeah, there was just a bit of a miscommunication really. But thankfully it's all done now, and again, this is going to be part of your learning curve. If you are going to want to go down this route, you're going to have to be prepared to make yourself look like a bit of an idiot when trying to charge your own car. So yeah, we're learning from it as we go along. Now we've done this once, next time we go to an Instavolt, we'll know exactly what to do and how to do it, so it shouldn't be too bad. So yeah, just a bit of an update on that one, and we'll keep you posted how it goes. But now we're going to go and enjoy coffee, and more importantly, go take the puppy for a nice little wander. See you later.
A few moments later.
So in summary, for me, I think it's definitely going to be a fact that if you can make electric cars work for your lifestyle, and it is an if, it's not going to work for everyone. If you're someone who does lots and lots and lots of miles every single day, you're traveling up and down the country, for example, you may need to consider it. You may need to think about where it is you're going to charge. There's a whole thing about where charging these days. You can't just go to any charger. You need to go to a particular charger that's fast charging. There's a whole subsection about living with an electric car, which again, YouTube's probably the best place for you to get most of your information from. You're going to be listening to real people talking about their real experiences and going from there. But if you can make it work, then in the next section of this video, we're going to be talking about how we can ensure that you will get so much savings out of it that it will make it really attractive for you. So stay tuned for the next bit where we talk about how the savings work and everything else. Okay, have I got you interested now in actually saving money when it comes to having a car in the business? Now, before you get excited, this will only work for a very particular part of clients out there and businesses. Now, normally, the reason we say do not buy under any circumstances a car into your business is because normally a car would attract what's called a P11D or a benefit in kind. Now, ultimately, a P11D / benefit in kind is designed to make sure that you as an employee are taxed on things that you've been received and not had the cash for. And a car is a really good example of what a P11D is designed to do. Let's forget your business for a second. Let's look at more of a corporate world. If you were working and had the opportunity to have a salary, and on part of that salary you were given the opportunity to have a car, and if you take that car, then realistically you should be taxed on the fact that you've had that car instead of having additional salary. And ultimately P11D and benefits in kind were brought into play because a lot of companies were abusing the fact that they were giving other items apart from cash because it was going under the taxes. Now though, P11D and benefit in kind is designed, and arguments can be said if it does or doesn't, but it is designed to make sure that if you were given the cash equivalent, then if you had two employees side by side, one person would give them cash, the other person would give them a car, then in theory they should be both taxed at the same point. And that's what P11D was all about. Now back to your business and how your business works. Well, it doesn't make much sense if you're going to be taxed on a car that you're effectively paying for anyway because it's your business and it's your funds. So as accountants, we've always stayed away from it. That P11D tax can sometimes be really, really harsh, to the point where it completely negates every single benefit you have from having a vehicle in the first place in your business. Now the thing with electric vehicle is it comes with a P11D rating of 1%, which if you compare that to your typical diesel car or your hybrid vehicle or any other type of vehicle there is, that's a significant saving. And it goes from your P11D being costing you maybe a couple of £100 a month to £10 a month. And that's the equivalent we're going to look at today. So what criteria are we looking at to make it work for you? Well, first of all, you need to make sure that whatever vehicle you're looking at is a pure electric vehicle. Now that won't work for everyone, and I've done a bit, which we'll talk about later, about when or where that will work. The second criteria is that realistically your business needs to be making money for this benefit to really work. If you've already got profits on an annual basis and you're paying taxes on an annual basis, well, this solution we're going to talk about today is going to be really beneficial for you. And finally, as a nice to have, highly recommend you already being VAT registered as well, because you're going to see there's quite a significant amount of savings there. So if you go through all of those criteria and it's something that's going to be worthwhile for you, then stay tuned because we're going to show you in a bit exactly what sort of savings we're talking about. Okay, so let's now start talking about the numbers and why this has become so efficient for people. So in my case, and I'm just going to use round some numbers here, but in my case, my vehicle cost around about £60,000. Now that's a lot of money for a car, but you'll see in a moment why it actually didn't cost me anywhere near that price at all. So I went for a new vehicle, and that means that there was a VAT element to it as well. But sometimes you don't have to go for exactly new. You can go for a vehicle that's called VAT qualifying. If you ask the dealer, is this vehicle you're looking at VAT qualifying, then that's going to be really significant as well. The reason it's significant is because my first big tax saving, even though the vehicle cost £60,000, in my next tax return, I'm going to have the opportunity to take £10,000 back in input VAT. Now you need to be making sure that A, you have an invoice from the dealer to say that there was VAT on there, and they'll break it down to you. Remember, in this case, I've rounded numbers up. You'll have an exact figure of what VAT has been charged, and that's the VAT you're able to claim. You need to be making sure this invoice is in the company's name, and technically you need to make sure the V5, the registration of that, is in the company name as well. Doing all that means that the VAT you've suffered, because it's in the company name, is now able for you to claim back. So the next time you do a VAT return, you're going to stick that number in there, and if it's anything like my personal business, then you're actually going to get a refund come your way to the tune of what's left over of your output less your input VAT. So that can make a significant saving for you, especially if you're as frugal as we've been saying in our videos on this channel and on our other channels as well, about making sure that you're putting that tax away. Then this could actually be a nice little cash injection that you can take back, that you may even be able to use to offset against actually borrowing costs or however you've been able to achieve this vehicle. So to me, it becomes an absolute crucial element just to make sure, has that vehicle got VAT on it, and therefore is that VAT something you're going to be able to claim back. What that did for me is it gave me a net cost there that's already kind of going down to what I had before. And as I kind of look back here, there's some other elements as well. Now, just ignore that true cost for now. Let's just talk about this P11D impact. So the idea that now I've got a car that's in my business, but it's for my personal use, and there is a P11D element to it. That P11D value, though, is only £600. And that means that basically my salary, whatever I'm taking my salary at, I'm going to be adding the equivalent of £600 on top, which would probably give me a taxable element to it. That taxable element in my case, though, only works out £120 in a given tax year. £10 a month. And if you know you're not paying yourself exactly the salary you need, if you kind of put your salary down accordingly, then actually you'll probably get away with not having to actually physically pay over that tax because it's so little. But either way, £120, well, that's not a lot. That's £10 per month, and in equivalent to what it could have been if you're looking at a diesel, petrol or hybrid car, whatever you're looking at, that's one significant saving. A little bit of bad news though, P11D also attracts what's called a benefit in kind ERS, so the company needs to pay it. That in this case is working around about £83 odd. So that cost will have to be something that we have to pay over. But the nice thing is though, that's another taxable expense. It doesn't finish there. So I've got my £50,000 net cost, but also that £50,000 net cost is going to be something that I'm going to be able to stick against my profits for that particular year. And again, if you've been frugal like we always say on this channel, then hopefully you've already put that money away to one side. Well, what you've done then is you've saved yourself another chunk of significant saving there, because that's £50,000 of profits you're not going to have to pay taxes back. Depending on how your tax is done, maybe it qualifies 100% first year allowances because electric car, maybe it doesn't, maybe you're going to get that over the space of X amount of years. But either way, from a tax point of view, you're going to get the equivalent of £50,000 being taken off. Plus that P11D impact that we talked about there of £83 means that actually your corporation tax bill is suddenly going to reduce as well. And it's just going to reduce by the tune of around about £9,500. So suddenly that eye-watering £60,000 has a true cost of around about £40,000. When you take into account you may have the opportunity to do a part exchange like we were able to, and actually the borrowing cost or the cost you're going to have to pay out front is going to be substantially lower than the true value of a £60,000 vehicle. And then if you think about that, if you did have borrowing costs, and that cost there, because it's in the business name, any finance costs related to it, well, that's going to be tax deductible as well. So that's going to bring down the impact of that cost. And the fact that going forward, any vehicle repairs or any other costs associated with it, well, that's going to be allowable in the business because the vehicle's in the business. So any VAT you incur or any other costs or anything like that, they're all going to be able to put through the business. And significantly more than anything else, it's a cash flow benefit. You know, I'm not having to take the money out as a dividend to then pay the finance company or however I'm doing to finance this car. I'm able just to let the company just have that money. And hopefully if you've got a relatively cash rich company, then that's a really effective way of being able to spend that money in an effective manner. And then there's other aspects as well. You may consider that the actual fueling of that car, so putting in the electricity, is a worthwhile endeavour for you. Now, have a look and see at other elements. There is a P11D potential issue there, so do make sure you've all covered them bonds. But being able to put electricity into the car while you're out and about, that's substantial. Maybe like me, you're considering getting yourself a EV charger installed at home. Well, I'm doing that on a business vehicle, on a business property. So that becomes a business expense as well. And they can be quite significant. We've had a range of quotes from £600 all the way up to £2,000. Well, if I'm getting the VAT back on there and my corporation tax savings, etc., well, again, it becomes more attractive to me to be able to put that significant purchase in. And if you think about the savings I've already made, especially that VAT coming back, well, yeah, I can use that to start paying some of that off if I need to. But either way, I think that this is a really significant tax saving. And it's one of those few wins that because you're able to have an electric vehicle, you're actually going to have the benefit of both worlds. The car's in the business, so you get to make sure that all the taxable benefits and everything else that come in there are going your way. But also it means that you get the opportunity to have that peace of mind as well, because you're not having to take the money out personally, maybe get taxed on it, for then to pay that car itself. Now again, it's very, very much down to the factors: can your lifestyle, the way that you use a car, the way that you need it for business, etc., can you actually withstand the fact that you need to be able to be thinking about the costs associated with it, and will it work with you, and all of those ifs and buts about having an EV compared to a standard car. But if, like me, you think you can make it work, and do join me on this journey, because there is content that I'm going to be doing about owning an EV, owning an electric vehicle, that'll be useful. It'll be one of the sister channels that we've got, and so keep an eye out for that, because I think that's going to be the telling point. We've all seen that there's massive tax benefits. We've all seen that there's opportunities there to save quite a substantial amount of money on a vehicle that most of the time would probably be out of range or out of reach, but it gives us an opportunity to think about how much we're able to be able to put that into play and have a massive taxable benefit from it that's going to make it more attainable for most people. Again, EVs are not for everyone, but if you can make it for you, I think this is a substantial saving. Okay, so what do you think? Let us know below. Is this sort of thing that could work for you? For us, we're thinking that a range of 200 to 300 miles is what we get on ours is more than enough for the majority of what we're ever going to need it for. We literally will struggle to utilise 100% of that battery on a day-to-day basis. The only times it might be more significant to us is if we do those longer runs, maybe up to Edinburgh, down to London, those sort of things. And at those points, then we know then that we've just got to work around the fact that it's going to take 40 odd minutes to get it back up to 100% if we find the right charger. But for us, that's not the end of the world. That's 40 minutes where I can go back on, start doing some more work, maybe recording some content, whatever it is I need to do, I can make those 40 minutes work for me. But let me know below, what do you think about EVs? Are they the future? Is there an opportunity for that to work from a business point of view? Or is it all pie in the sky and you think that actually there's no way that it's going to be sustainable going forward? Love to know your thoughts below. But that's it for me. Hopefully we've been able to show you that there are some benefits there. Do let us know in the comments below if there's any other content you want to go around the EV, or look at my sister channels to have a look and see if there's anything on there that gives you confidence about using it. Well, ultimately for us, it's do your research first and you'll be absolutely fine. Please do make sure you like, subscribe and all of that stuff. Share this video around to people. If you know anyone who's thinking about getting themselves an EV, well, maybe stop them now and consider them to be putting it into their business. Have to make that decision at the day one. You have to make sure that the name is in the business before you do any of this. My name's been Aaron Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to do this video for you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.